welcome back to another great and majestical, moist, magical video with your boy, the Savior. That's right, welcome back to the channel. If you're new, which is highly likely, go down below. Do it. Go down below and subscribe for fresh and original content every single day, pretty much. Support me by checking out my electronic music on all music platforms. Trust me, you will not be disappointed, Sunny Jim, because you will hear some original and interesting electronic music. And if you want to support me further and get extra content and shoutouts for your channel, go down below and become a member for extra content, and that would really help support me. That would mean so much to me, you have no idea. Now, today, my sinners, I want to discuss more about philosophy, and this time I'm going to be talking about materialism and living life as a minimalist and Diogenes, okay? Diogenes, if you're not aware, was pretty much an ancient philosopher and pretty much a homeless man who lived in a barrel in the streets. And you might say, you know, that's not really something to aspire to, but the philosophy of Diogenes is a very interesting one. He wasn't exactly stoical, he was in some sense of the word. The philosophy that Diogenes followed was in fact cynicism. Now, cynics and cynicism means something very different nowadays to what it used to mean. In the modern world, cynicism means, or a cynic means someone who basically is nihilistic and has given up on humanity and believes that everything that we do is pointless and it has no point to it, that humans are disgusting creatures and we have no purpose and we should basically not even exist, and that life itself is inherently pointless. Life itself is inherently pointless and has no purpose to it. And you know, I really don't like this idea of modern day cynicism. Modern day cynics and cynicism today is very different, and it basically means nowadays that you lack all compassion and you don't think that life has any point to it, and that you think that your fellow human beings are all disgusting creatures in a way, and that there's no point to living life. Cynicism today is basically birthed from nihilism, and that's basically because of our current climate with being hooked into the machine, technology, instant dopamine hits, and this hive mind future dystopia we are all heading towards, which I always try and combat and discuss. And check out my dystopian series if you're interested in that. What we do in our current lives is also very different from what it used to be, and the fact that the religion has completely gone does play a huge part in people's nihilism, and the fact that we are constantly fed information and everything is basically instant access, and we have access to the whole world and all knowledge now, that it's kind of overwhelming and most people don't know how to use it correctly. So it's a very different society that we live in now, and that is why cynicism and nihilism is very prevalent today. Say it with me, boys. Cynicism. I don't feel like the modern day philosophy of cynicism has any purpose whatsoever. In fact, it just makes you devalue life, your own life, other people's lives, and it takes away all purpose from your life. It's my belief that you give purpose to your own life. It's not given to you. You have to find it, that you give your life a purpose. Not everything has intrinsic value. You have to basically create it. But cynicism basically says that nothing has any point to it, and is very destructive. And like I said, it's basically doomer philosophy. That's, you know, pretty much what it is in modern day standards. Now, cynicism back in the day was very different. Cynicism back then was still the idea that the general population and humanity in general is a blight. That basically humanity is pointless and humanity is a blight on civilization and the world and nature. And I do agree with that to some point. I do have a bit of cynicism in me, because obviously humanity is far from perfect. The general population is of course very stupid, very dumb. I think 90% or 80% of the population are idiots. I'm not saying that because I think of myself as a superior intellect, but it's just that most people don't have the tools and don't have the time to educate themselves further, or they never learn to be interested in important things that can help and benefit people from an early age, and that is a big problem. The difference with ancient cynicism is that you could basically take it under your own control. You could change as an individual. You could lead a happy life by going away from the normality and the herd of humanity. In other words, basically following your own ideals and not following the trend that humanity has set, not following society, and finding different ideologies, and that you can still better yourself, even if it does mean that humanity and life in general doesn't really have intrinsic value. Diogenes was a very interesting person. Basically, he was a homeless man living in a barrel, and he basically acted like a dog. That's why his nickname was Diogenes the Dog, because people thought he acted like an animal. And the reason why he acted like an animal and basically only cared about things in his, limited control, Diogenes didn't care about abstract objects and validation from others or any of this kind of stuff. He lived purely in his own way, in his own base desires, as an animal would. Animals don't think about the future, they don't think about the past, they live in the present, and they only care about what they can control, what's in their nature to control. And Diogenes basically lived like a dog because he thought that was humanity's best way to live. And in many ways I do agree with him. It's very stoical in some ways, because basically controlling what you can, living in accordance with nature, and not being attached to material objects or things that humans desire that we don't necessarily need to function and actually complicates our life further. In many ways it does make a lot of sense. I do also think Diogenes was a little bit cruel, and he did have too much of a high opinion of himself and basically thought of others as less, so I don't like that about him. But his core beliefs about living in the present, living in accordance with nature, which is very stoical and falls in line with Stoic philosophy, is very true and important, and I think that is needed for humanity nowadays. Things that are just aesthetically pleasing or pleasurable doesn't actually fulfill your life and actually causes damage within your life if you chase abstract goals and these things that don't actually serve a function to your life. It doesn't actually fulfill you and it doesn't make you any happier. Living in accordance with nature will and make you more at peace with life. The difference I have with Diogenes is the fact that he didn't care about the why of things. He didn't care about asking other deeper questions. He only cared about his base instinct and desires of living in the current present, which helps him, but it doesn't help society. So that is the only difference I have with Diogenes. Now, the reason I'm talking about Diogenes is because his core beliefs really highlight materialism today and living a minimalist lifestyle. I personally believe that living a minimalist lifestyle is really beneficial because chasing objects, technology, the new gadgets, the new TV, the new games, all of this stuff, it won't fill your life with happiness. It will cripple you financially. If you try and live like a minimalist for just a week, you'll realize that there are so many things that you don't actually need, and they don't add anything to your life. They just serve as distractions where you could be putting your time into developing yourself in better areas. It just distracts you, it wastes your time, it clutters your life, and it also doesn't enhance your nature, enhance your thinking and intellect and philosophy. It basically damages the human psyche because you don't need it, and it doesn't give you any kind of value in return. Living in accordance with nature will do that. Understanding yourself and developing yourself will do that. But distracting yourself, constantly getting dopamine hits from all of these objects will not increase your enjoyment for life and give you a sense of purpose. It just distracts you. And there are so many things you do need, and there are so many things that you don't need. So it's just pointless to basically waste all of your time and energy collecting and chasing these external validations, not just from people, but from material goods that don't actually fulfill your life, when you can do something much better. And yeah, you can get enjoyment from material goods. I'm not saying don't do that occasionally, but making materialism a habit, buying new furniture when you don't need it, buying new clothes when you don't need it, buying a new computer when your old one works perfectly, it just promotes waste, it hurts the environment, and it just promotes so many negative things. Because if you don't need something, what's the point of wasting your time and money when you can use all of these resources for something greater? That's my problem with materialism, and that's why I think you should live as a minimalist. I hope you enjoyed this philosophical video about Diogenes and materialism. and why you should live as a minimalist, Diogenes' philosophy with materialism, and living as a minimalist and what we can learn from it. I really do love discussing these philosophical videos, and I hope you enjoy them. I hope they add value and educational value to your life, and please do research and learn further about it. So those are the reasons why I think it's important, and I really think that philosophy can help push humanity forward, because it's one of the most important things that we have forgotten from ancient civilizations, and that is why their civilizations worked so well. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have yourselves a great day. Peace out.